Hi everyone, and welcome to the Book Refuge. This is day 5 of quarantine for me. After getting back from my trip, I had to be even a little more stringent with social distancing than others. I also live alone, don't have any boyfriends or girlfriends or any of that. So I've spent a lot of time reading in the past couple weeks. I mean, more so than usual, but what is my usual? It changes all the time. So, I want to share some of the book recs of books I've been reading along the way here. And today I'm doing a trope video that I haven't done before because I'm not always a huge fan of this trope. Specifically, I'm not a huge fan of it in YA because I think it gets a little cliche and I'm not always a huge fan of how it's done, and that's the friends to lovers trope. And so the things that I don't like about this trope are usually when like a guy's never noticed the girl before and then all of a sudden she's pretty and he likes her, or that's mostly it. That's what I don't like about it. I'm not a huge fan of she was ugly before, she was fat before, I had never looked at her that way before, but the other person always has. So the ways that I like a friends to lovers trope to go is two major ways. One, if they've been friends a very long time, I like it to be because it's like a brother's best friend, or, something where there was something else keeping them from getting together, even though there was always that tension. Or the people meet each other, immediately have sexual chemistry, but decide for whatever reason they're not at a place for a relationship, and so they choose to be friends with the person, and then this tension just keeps building and building until they're like, we aren't meant to be just friends. So those are the ways that I really like this trope. And so my first book falls a little bit into that first thing I said. However, I feel like it's forgiven because it's part of my favorite book series, as well as I think the hero has good reasons for it, just because everyone looks at this woman that way, and it isn't until someone is being cruel to her that he realizes, I want to defend this girl and not let other people treat her that way. And that is Romancing Mr. Bridgerton by Julia Quinn. This is one of the Bridgerton series. This is the 4th book. This is about Colin and Penelope. And to me, honestly, this is my OG friends to lovers. I adore this couple so much. Penelope has a lot of stuff going on in her life and nothing at all. She has some big secrets that she's keeping, secrets that we maybe have guessed up to this point, maybe we haven't. And she's always had a thing for Colin, who is her best friend's older brother. And an event happens where Colin all of a sudden realizes that everyone gives Penelope such a hard time, and he himself has just always looked at her as someone who would always be there. And then he realizes he doesn't like how people are talking about her, and that he loves her, and she is one of his closest friends, maybe the only woman who is a friend besides his sisters. And why can't they make a go of it? And I love this so much. I love when a hero defends a heroine against her family, and not just because her family is horrible jerks. Penelope's family loves her, but they are taking her for granted that she's an old maid, she's a spinster at this point, they'll always have her with her. And that is hurtful. And I really love how Colin, just when the switch is flipped, the switch is flipped. So this is my one and only historical romance on this list. I haven't read a ton of friends to lovers for historical romance, just because usually women and men just couldn't be friends in this time, because you couldn't be alone with the person, you couldn't be around the person to build a friendship. But I highly suggest this one. I suggest, of course, that entire series. I will live and die by that series. I adore it so much. So definitely check that out. Next, I want to talk about The Deal by Elle Kennedy, because in this list, I think this is the one I read next, except for one other one. This is the first in the off-campus series. It's the only one I've read so far. I plan to read them all. I do, I promise. I'm just starting to get into Elle Kennedy, and I've read more of her books lately. But this one is great. This one's a little bit of adversaries to friends to lovers, because I wouldn't have called them enemies, but they have a really cool chemistry. And this is about Hannah Wells, who she has some trauma in her past. She was raped when she was in high school, and now she can't find satisfaction when she's with a guy, and she actually had a boyfriend leave her because it was just too much for him to try to work through this with her. And then there's Garrett Graham, who he needs to keep his grades up because he needs to stay on the hockey team. And this was also the first in a long line of sports romances I read, which you will see soon. And I just love this. So what happens is they make a deal that Hannah has a crush on this football player, and Garrett will help her get a date with him if she will tutor him. And Hannah doesn't have a lot of time to tutor, so it really has to be an incentive for her. And then as their friendship builds through this tutoring, she is honest with him about that she's having problems in the sexual department, and because she trusts him so much as a friend, they're able to start working through some of her issues. But Garrett pretty quickly decides that he doesn't want to help this woman with her issues so she can move on from him. He wants her to be with him. And I adore this book. I know that I'll love the rest of the books in this series. I just haven't got to them yet. So now let's go through the rest, which I've purchased almost all of these on ebook. I'll tell you which ones are on Kindle Unlimited because a couple of them are. So the next one I want to talk about is The Year We Fell by Serena Bowen. And this is the first in the Ivy Years series, which I was thinking in my head, and almost all of these books are friends to lovers, except for one of them. There's 5 in this series, and we get introduced to a whole cast of characters that we will then be interacting with moving forward. But this one is about these two college students. One of them is freshman year, the other one is a junior. I think it's Corey and I think this one's Hartley. Yes, I'm so proud of myself. I remember that. There's a lot of these books. And they are both on the handicap accessible floor at this college because Corey was in an accident her senior year of high school that hurt her spine, and she was supposed to she does have a scholarship to go to this school to be on their female hockey team, and now she can't do that. And Hartley, who's the captain of the guys hockey team, he hurt himself rock climbing. So currently they are both on the handicap floor and they live across from each other. Hartley at this time has a girlfriend and she's going away to Paris for a semester. So him and Corey end up hanging out. Hartley is a really sweet guy. This is not a cheating romance. Don't worry about that. This is a case of the girlfriend is a bitch, though. I really don't like those, that trope that the girl is a bitch because of it. But Hartley also has some ulterior motives for dating this girl. So for me, it kind of worked out because this wasn't just a case of we're making this girl a bitch so that I can, easily break up with her and move on with this other person. There is a reason why he was dating this girl in the first place, which I won't spoil. I loved how the chemistry built with this one. I loved seeing Corey deal with her injury, not knowing if she'll walk again, but we see her in physical therapy. We see them both help each other with their injuries in different ways. There's a lot of painful moments for them of missing out on something they love and Corey not knowing if she'll ever get to do something again. And it was so beautiful. And watching their tension grow was amazing. This was a slow burn, obviously, because he's in a relationship for half of the book. But also when it switches, when it's all systems go, holy crap, this was amazing. This one also has another case of Corey doesn't know if she can feel sexual pleasure because of where her injury is at. And that was super cool to walk through and have discussions about. And this entire series, guys, like I said, most of them are friends to lovers. I just decided to talk about the first one. And each one of them is equally sexy and heartwarming and heartbreaking. There's just enough angst and like not even just angst between the couples, but like struggles in their lives where they just kind of lean on each other and build these really intense relationships. This series deals with homelessness. It deals with parents' drug addiction. It deals with slut shaming. It deals with false accusations. There's so much in this series, and each one was fantastic. So then I want to suggest a book in the follow-up series to the Ivy Years. So Serena, after the Ivy Years series, she has this series called The Brooklyn Bruisers / it's renamed to just the Brooklyn series. And this involves quite a few people we meet in the Ivy Years in their professional careers now. This was college years. Now we're in the professional years of professional hockey, and we're dealing with people we met before, seeing them a little bit older. Our friends who didn't find a love interest in college are now meeting one here. And this will be the fourth one in the series. It's the first one when it's turning into the Brooklyn series. But you meet these characters right away because it's about the owner of this hockey team, the Brooklyn Bruisers, and his assistant. And so this is called Brooklyn Air, and this is about Nate and Nate and Becca. There's a Bella in the other series, so I don't want to mix them up. And they have been working together for about 10 years. When Nate started out as just a beginning software developer and his company first needed an assistant, Becca was the one, and they've spent all these years together working and when he took on a new business, he brought Becca with him, and so now she is kind of a manager and runs the hockey team at this point. And it is so good. This is a slow burn friendship. You've been seeing different parts of it in the first 3 of the series, and when we get to this one, it's so good because Nate is so aware of he doesn't want to abuse his position. He knows he's rich. He knows he's her boss. He knows he's her friend. He does not want to abuse that position, but he has had it bad for this girl for a long time. And Becca, she's always had those little feelings, like she's had a crush on this guy for a long time, but he's her boss and she would never put him in a position either. So we're dealing with these two people who both want to be so respectful. But when Becca gets hurt, she gets a concussion in one of the previous books, he kind of steps up his game in the protector sense as well as the friend sense. And it is so good. It is so good. This was a beautiful relationship, and watching it level up was so much fun. And I actually had read 1 and 2, and then I skipped to this one because I was like, I can't wait. I need to read about them. And it was so good. It was so good. I highly suggest this. All of these series, they'll tell you can read these in any order, blah, 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 blah. But it starts with the Ivy Years where you meet all these people, you build these relationships, and by the time you're getting to their books, you care so much. So if you're someone who likes to read these standalone series, just start at the beginning. You'll get through them so quickly. I read all of these in a week's time. I'm on the last 2 books in the series right now, and it's been really good. So then I want to talk about the Game On series by Kristen Callahan. This series starts with the game plan, I think is the first one. But I want to talk about the Friendzone first. So this is the second one in the series. This is about, these are by Kristen Callahan, by the way, and oh my God, the series is so sexy. These are football romances, and we start in college in the first one. The second one is about, wow, his name just right out of my head. Okay, I can't remember their names, and I hate myself because I love this book so much, but I can only remember the newest couple that I just read about. Anyway, but the Friendzone, this is about this football player and the daughter of his manager. About to be his manager. So this football player is being courted by this manager for him to take him on when he graduates high school. And the daughter, Ivy, she's been staying in the UK for a semester abroad, and her mom lives over there. And so her father loans her car out to this football player because he doesn't have a vehicle at that time. And so she texts him to say, don't hurt my vehicle while I'm gone or I'm going to kick your ass. And they actually end up texting back and forth for about like a month or two while she is there. And then when she returns, he ends up being the one to pick her up from the airport, and they just have this really easy relationship together. They really care about each other, and it's a really beautiful build up from there. And it's also, again, like super sexy. The way that Kristen builds tension is so great. The way that she shares what's in the people's heads is so good, and I just loved it so much. And then the other one from the series I just read last night, and that is Hot Shot, which is the fourth one. And this one, oh my gosh, this one was about Chess and, how did they say his name? They said Manus. This one is about Chess and Manus. Yes, her name is Chester, and she goes by Chess because her parents are cruel and named her Chester, which is totally a thing. Anyway, this couple, so Chess is actually a photographer, and we see her, she is helping do a sexy calendar for the football team. Manus, he is the QB for this team in New Orleans, which doesn't have a name, but obviously it's referring to the Saints or whatever, since it's a professional football team, but it's fun. It's great. And in this one, they become friends after this photo shoot. After having kind of a contentious first meeting, they quickly become friends. And when Chess has her apartment, her home burned down, Manus picks her up, brings her to live with him. And so then we have a roommate situation and a friendship where he's used to having hookups and she only does serious relationships. And it's really great. And again, there's some really like painful things going on. Like Manus has had some really rough breaks in the past year, and Chess is just the girl he's looking for. And as always, the banter is on point. That makes a great friends to lovers for me, when they have really good banter with each other, where they try to start out neutral and it just ends up being really sexual really quickly, and it's totally amazing. That's my cup of tea. To a T. It's my favorite. And I loved this couple so much. It was so good. Next, these next two, holy crap, so good. So the next one I have is Only You by Melanie Harlow. And this is the beginning of her One and Only series, which the entire trilogy is amazing. This first one is about these two. They live across the hall from each other. One of them is a hotshot businessman, and the other one is this girl trying to get her life together. And they are friends. They share a love of Bond movies and action adventure and eating out together, and they have a friendship, and they really like that. And then one day, our hero has a baby dropped off at his house. This woman that he had a one-night stand with at a conference, she is having, which we don't know that in the minute, or he doesn't realize that. I think we as, women reading this know what's going on. She's having some postpartum depression, and she doesn't want to give up her baby, but she needs some help. And she never told him about the baby, but she literally leaves him there, leaves this baby girl there with a note, and he doesn't know what the heck to do. And she says, I'm gonna leave this baby with you for a week. I just need a week. My brain is hurting. I'm tired. I'm dying. And then he gets angry at her and is like, you never told me. You didn't give me a choice. You didn't give me a chance. And now you're just dumping her here. I want her for a month because I want to get to know my baby. You've had her with you for 2 months. I want her with me for a month. But he says all of that in great bravado, but he doesn't know how to take care of a baby. And so his neighbor and friend is helping him. And I absolutely love this. I love single dads. I love seeing men take care of babies. Who doesn't? And I really love watching how he already had some feelings for his friend, but he was going to keep it neutral. And then it's lots of late nights. It's cuddling a baby between them, and it's watching their friendship move into something else. And it's so great. And that book is the first in the series, The One and Only, which all 3 of the books are fantastic. It involves a second chance romance in one of them, and one of them has an ex-Marine who doesn't think that he can find love again. And I love that. I love it. So that series, which I just read, leads into a series that I've talked about quite a few times on my channel, and that is the Cloverleaf series by Melanie Harlow. So the one and only is a prelude to this. So we hear about the Cloverleaf farm, and usually the people like work with them somehow. That's how we know them and everything. And this one is about the daughters of the owners of Cloverleaf Farm, and there's 5 daughters. This book is the second in the series, and it's called Insatiable. And this one is about these two. So we have Noah and we have Meg. And they've been friends for a very long time. Meg lives in the big city. Noah still lives at home I think they live in Michigan. I think that's where Cloverleaf Farms is supposed to be. And he is a deputy in a small town. And he has just broken up with a longtime girlfriend who couldn't get over the fact that Noah has a twin brother who has a disability, and Noah plans to help take care of his brother. His parents are getting older, and he knows that one day his brother's going to need somewhere to stay, and he's going to be the one to do that. And his girlfriend couldn't handle that she'd be sharing her life with this person, and that he was always going to have needs that her lover would have to take care of. And Meg, she's known the family her whole life. She already loves this brother, and her and Noah have always been really good friends. And all of a sudden, this time when she comes home, they can't stop thinking about each other. And Noah really cares about her, but he doesn't want to saddle her with this burden that he feels he brings to any relationship, even though she's already well aware, and she finds that very attractive and amazing that he would leave a part of his life always for his family, because she feels that passionate about her family. And it just leads to a little bit of angst, but not too much. And it's a really sweet friendship to lovers. It's really beautiful. So there you go. There is, I believe that was 8 recommendations for friends to lovers. You know me, I like to go in more detail than most people do, because sometimes just saying that something's a friends to lovers isn't enough. Why do I like it? What makes it exciting? All of these have some pretty nice steam in them, some more than others, but they are super, super fun. So I hope you'll give some of these a chance. Stay safe during this time. Keep reading, and don't lose your fun. Don't lose your joy. That's what I'm holding on to right now, guys. I tell you. So I put up 3 to 4 videos a week, maybe more, maybe less, but you can go ahead and subscribe right now. Make sure you hit the bell to get notified when I put more videos up, and I'll see you next time. Bye.